Hi there, welcome to Talk Canicross. I'm Janetta George.
And I'm Gail Walker. We're here today to talk all things Canicross, the fun way to get fit with your dog. So we hope you'll join us, whether it's for training tips, dog talk, or just for fun and encouragement. This is Talk Canicross, brought to you by DogFit. And don't forget to hit subscribe and keep in touch with all things Canicross. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Talk Canicross. Today, we're joined by two inspiring Canicrossers, Kat and Louise, who are both living with MS and proving that a diagnosis doesn't have to define what you're capable of. In this episode, we're going to be talking about their journeys into Canicross, the challenges and adaptations that come with running alongside MS, and the huge role their dogs and the Canicross community, of course, have played in building confidence, resilience, and connection. We'll also hear some brilliant advice from anyone living with MS who may be wondering if Canicross could be for them. So first of all, welcome, Kat and Louise. It's so lovely to have you along and to see you. Thank you so much.
Hello.
You're welcome.
Oh, it's great to have you both on the show. And as Gail said, like to listen and understand a bit more and what you've been doing in the sport, which is absolutely great. So for viewers that maybe haven't, well, I know, Kat, you've been on one of our podcasts before. Perhaps we'll start with you. Tell us a bit more about your journey into Canicross and also your lovely dog.
So I have a little cockapoo called Stanley, who is now 10 years old. So we've been canicrossing for 10 years together, but I was canicrossing 2 years before that. I actually took along my mum and dad's cockapoo to a canicross thing, and he was too small to fit any of the harnesses. So I had to borrow a dog, and then I borrowed dogs for a while, and then finally got my own dog. And so 10 years later, here we are. We've been running together for ages now.
And he's a great, fabulous Canicrosser, Stanley. So we've run with him loads. And Lou, tell us about your journey into Canicross and your dog, who was in the video that now has gone off.
She's given up.
She'll make another appearance.
Yeah. So I've got Maya, who's 7-year-old Labrador. We started Canicross about just over 4 years ago. That I did a couch to 5K Canicross with Lara. And that kind of just got me hooked, to be honest. And we've been running loads and loads and loads of miles ever since.
That's brilliant.
So yeah,
and that's obviously Lara, who's on the DogFit team, who's based in Bude. So yeah, some lovely places to run around there, isn't there?
Yeah, lots of coast paths, lots of hills.
I'm sure.
And just going back a little bit, and maybe Lou, you can start first. Tell us a little bit about your journey, obviously being diagnosed with MS, and obviously looking at how you got into Canicross.
Yeah, okay. I was diagnosed with MS just over 10 years ago. It's just been my 10-year MS anniversary. So I was 23 years old when I was diagnosed. They think I probably had it for a while before that diagnosis anyway. Took quite a long time to actually get to a diagnosis. But I obviously wasn't as active back then. Like, my health was not in a good place at the start of my diagnosis. And to be honest, I don't think it was until I started Canicross and I started getting fitter and healthier. And actually, I think that alone has made so much difference to, well, both physically and mentally, to be honest. And I think it's quite an important aspect to try and keep on top of that, even the days when you don't feel like it.
Gosh. And Kat, perhaps if you could just tell us a little bit about your journey. I know we've run together a lot, so we kind of know some of it anyway, but to share with our listeners.
Well, so obviously I was running with you guys during diagnosis. So I was diagnosed in 2019 and I kept tripping on runs. I kept falling, and I just assumed it was because at the time I was in my 20s. I was running a lot, but I was running a lot on luck because I wasn't doing any strength training or anything like that. So when I was tripping and falling and things like that, I thought, oh, I've neglected the strength training, I'm just falling over. And then I had vision problems, spinning vision, and I eventually had a symptom where I went blind in one eye, which got me a very rapid diagnosis. So my story is quite different to Lou's in that she had to wait quite a long time to find out, whereas mine was fast tracked by me going blind in one eye and turning up in A&E.
Yeah,
So
so scary.
what's wrong? So yeah, very different sort of diagnosis stories, but we live very similar lives in some ways.
Very similar, I think.
Well, I mean, and then finding each other. I know we'll come on to talk a bit more about that, but you know, you met through your MS, didn't you? And obviously the connection through the Canicross community. So, you know, that can you describe how you first came across each other and how important that's been to have that, you know, have somebody that understands what you're going through?
Yeah, I think it was really, really good to actually find each other, because I think even just the MS part of things can be quite lonely and it can be quite isolating, because I don't think anybody really gets it until they're actually going through it. But then to meet somebody that obviously does everything pretty much exactly the same as I do and have the same diagnosis, yeah, it's been good to have somebody to talk to that actually understands Canicross and MS together.
And it's things like when you say, oh, I'm tired after a run. Well, everyone feels a bit tired after a run, but being tired for myself and for Lou usually feels like someone has taken the batteries out of your back and your legs are heavy and you feel like you're wading through treacle. Like the fatigue is totally different, and it's not necessarily brought on by a run, but it can be brought on by your how much you've done in the day alongside that run, or what your work shift pattern looks like. We both have very busy jobs, which get in the way of running, quite frankly. So there's like such a juggling act to make sure that we can continue to do the things we like. So when we kind of get in touch with each other about things, it's to say, oh, I'm tired. I really understand what she means when she says I'm tired, you know.
Someone who can actually relate to it. I can appreciate that. I mean, and then you talk about, you know, your love of running and sport, and so those days when you are tired and you don't feel up for it, how do you manage being active? And because obviously you love it and there's a lot of positives, so how do you find that balance? And you know that it's good for you, but if someone was listening to this who's got MS and trying to understand how you manage having MS and still maintaining that sporty lifestyle, how do you go about that?
I think that's something that you try and learn over time. I think Kat's the same as me in that it's difficult to find that line, because there is a line there somewhere. And there is a little voice in your head some days saying like you really need to stop. But I think both of us are quite good at pushing against that. But I think some days you've got to. I think even for your own mental well-being, you've got to push through it some days and just get out there and do it. Because I think 99% of the time you will feel so much better just for being out there and just doing some exercise.
Yeah.
And both of us are really fortunate at the moment that we can do this. We both live in locations that are really, really beautiful to run in. I mean, we both post pictures on Instagram and both of us are like, oh, that looks so nice. But so I think the motivation is we live in beautiful places. I mean, I don't know about Lou, but I wake up each morning, put my feet on the floor and go, okay, good. Like everything's still kind of like, functioning as it was yesterday. And so I think some of the motivation to get out, even when you feel like, oh, everything's, a little bit heavy today, or things are working against me. The point is, at the moment, we still can. And once you're out, if you just do 5 minutes of, something, your brain kind of kicks in. It's almost like muscle memory, and like you're off kind of thing. And maybe Lou will agree, but the big motivator to go out canicrossing is the dog waiting to go out. So
100%.
extra motivation.
It's such an inspiration, I'm sure, for people to hear this. Just going back to you, Lou, you mentioned before that you weren't a canicrosser before you were diagnosed. So that must have been a big step to find out that you've got this condition, and then you go, oh, I'm now going to try this, new sport and joining. Tell us a little bit about that journey. And I know you obviously did some sessions with Lara at the time.
Yeah. So I've always been fairly active anyway. I've always been into horses and everything like that. So I was used to not really sitting still anyway. But the even sort of joining the Couch to 5K class for me was quite a massive thing. Because I wasn't in a very great place health-wise at the time. I hadn't long had a bit of a big relapse. So I was still kind of in recovery from that. And it was only when one of my friends said about it, and they were like, just go, just try it, just see how it feels. And yeah, I think it literally changed my life, to be honest. That first day that I started, and it kind of made me prove to myself that you can do it. I think sometimes I don't ever kind of wallow in it, but I think sometimes you can get into a bit of a spiral where you think, like, I just can't do this. But to go and do something like that and prove to yourself that you can do it, just felt really good. And then, yeah.
That's amazing. And Kat, and obviously you were canicrossing before.
Yeah.
Obviously getting your diagnosis, did that make you change how you were running canicrossing with Stanley, or how did that affect things?
I think similar to Lou, there is a stubbornness you find when you're diagnosed with something. And I was already running. And for a while I was taking like long naps in the afternoon after doing something in the morning. And I was learning, how now to respond to all these changes that were happening. One, I then focused on strength training and started to really look at that and look at like how your brain makes connections and all of the cross body kind of movements, and looking at sort of not just running all the time, sort of more looking at holistically, like the bigger picture. How can I keep doing what I love? And then in pure stubbornness, I decided to sign up for a very, very long run with Gail. and we ran 30 miles along the Jurassic Coast, just kind of to prove myself that I haven't changed from the person that I am. Like, fundamentally, I'm still me, and I can still do the things that I have been enjoying. I just need to think much more carefully about them. But yeah, there's a kind of stubbornness that sort of surfaces when you're diagnosed with something, I think.
I think it's a pride thing as well, isn't it? I think because of what we've been through and all of the really hard days, I think you have so much willpower in that you just push and push because you feel like you have to prove something to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really is to yourself. It's not really to anyone else. It really is quite no one else is asking me to run so far or do these things, but it is really proving it to yourself that you can do it. So yeah, absolutely.
I really think you probably found yourselves that probably there is a good thing about social media, because there's more out there about, because preconceptions about MS, it's probably been quite important to you to, address those. And maybe when you first started looking at it up, you're thinking, oh gosh, can't be, we had to run a marathon, won't be able to do all these things. So, has that been a bit of a challenge? Do you see that when you meet other people that have recently been diagnosed? Do you play a bit of a role in helping to educate as well? Louise?
I think social media is very important when it comes to stuff like that. And it's, I've done several fundraisers for MS Society and stuff, and I think it's important to get the message out there. But I also think it can have a bit of a dark side to it as well, in terms of, especially when you're first diagnosed, because I think there's so much stuff that you see, and you see all of that and you think, I can't ever do any of this. Like, I can't, like, I'm basically, I'm not going to manage what I want to do. So I think you have to take everything with a bit of a pinch of salt, and there were some groups and stuff that I joined that I quickly left, just purely on the fact that you can't be looking at all of that all day.
No.
Yeah, I agree with Lou. There is there is a space on the internet that maybe just causes you to be fearful. And I would say initially when you are diagnosed, and still now, I think I circle round into sort of thinking, okay, I know how to live with this at the moment. And then I'll circle round to, oh, but we don't know what's coming next. Like, and you are always living in not really knowing what your body is going to do next. So there is a big element of fear. So you can either go on social media and start to look at things and enter that sort of like fear state of mind, or you can go on social media and look at things and be hopeful and motivated and try and keep your thoughts going on a more positive.
And you guys obviously are totally inspirational. But how did you both meet? Because I know you're not in the same parts of the country, and so maybe Kat, tell us a bit about how you linked up. And I know that you've been running together since then.
Well, I think it's mostly Lou's story to tell about how I think she heard about me perhaps first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was told about Kat when I started my Couch to 5K with Lara. And then I think that's when I found you on Instagram, I think is where we kind of first started chatting. And then we didn't actually meet in person until last November.
Yeah, last November.
When you came down to Devon and we did a Canicross race together. So that was the first time we met actually in person, but we've chatted quite a bit. I think.
That's the first time Maya and Stanley met then as well.
Yeah. And they were very excited because they were at a race. There were dogs, like they were very excited. So and they were very ready to run, let's say.
I bet. Oh, that's lovely. And you've obviously stayed in touch and become good friends since, which is really lovely. And this is the power of Canicross, isn't it? I mean, it's just bringing people together like this. I mean, I think something we haven't touched upon yet is this whole community aspect. I'd really like to touch upon that, because I think for people who are listening and watch this podcast, think, oh, go out and run with your dog. But if you can get together with a group, go to a DogFit trainer, get involved with a local group, run with friends, whatever you choose to do. I think there's a big strength in that, and for your mental well-being as well as your physical well-being. But Louise, do you want to talk about, you mentioned obviously Lara you went to as a DogFit trainer in your area, and how important has that whole community aspect been for you and for Maya as well?
Yeah, so important, to be honest. I think even not necessarily just from a running point of view, just to have those people around you who have all been very, very supportive. But it's just like you say, is the whole community of it as well as the running side. And to have those, well, they are like lifelong friends now, to be honest. And there's a lot of people that I've met through Canicross that have become genuinely good friends. And I think especially like the harder times I've had, they're always so supportive. And, I've had some of them run along with me when I barely feel like I can put one foot in front of the other, but they'll be there by your side, helping you and encouraging you. And I think that is something that I'm so glad that I found.
Yeah. And what about you, Kat? Because you've obviously been, like you say, you've been running for 10 years, and a lot of that has been with other people, hasn't it?
I've had the social group kind of runs when we first started out, and well, again, like Lou, I have made lifelong friends, and actually as our dogs have got older and things have changed, that group dynamic changes as people come in and out of that group. At the moment, I actually spend a lot of time running just Stan and I. My job has sort of taken over a bit at the moment, and part of having MS is I can't necessarily commit to getting up and getting to the group at a certain time. I just have to play it by ear on a day, and it might just mean that Stan and I go out on our own together. But the difference is I know the group is always there. So when it was his birthday, I thought, oh, he wants to run with some friends on his birthday. And so I just popped a comment in the group, and we went out and did a 10K for Stan's 10th birthday. So, you know, although I'm not seeing the group every week like I used to, everybody is still there. And I think what's really good about it is you've got this common interest. You love your dogs. You could talk the hind legs off a donkey about your dogs. And therefore, when you go, you've got something to talk about straight away. It's not awkward. You know, if there are new people in the group, well, what's the first thing you can ask them about? The dogs, and then you can chat about that. There's common ground straight away. And actually, when we did the race, Lou's group of Canicrossers, they were all there too. And so it doesn't matter where you go in the country. I turned up, and I've come all the way, you know, 3-hour drive, and it's kind of just like slotting in, and you just chat about your dogs, and everyone was really welcoming, and it's great. So actually I don't although, like, you know, I've got a close group round here, the community is really broad, and you can just go anywhere, and you've got common ground, and you can slot in. So
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's lovely, and you touched on it a bit there in terms of like the dogs being the thing that's obviously bringing everyone together. And when you go out with a Canicross group, that's the really nice thing. You can talk about your dogs. But you know, once you guys had been diagnosed, how important had your dogs become in terms of, you know, doing that journey and feeling motivated when obviously things are a bit more difficult, or just finding that enthusiasm? So talk a bit about how your dogs have affected how you now look at going out and running.
I think it really does give you that push, because at the end of the day, they want to go out, they need to go out. So regardless of how you're feeling or how bad your day might seem, you've got to just go and do it. And I think, 100% of the time that makes you feel better anyway, even if you're not running, even if you just go for a little hike or something. It's it just makes everything feel so much better. And I think actually the dogs pick up on way more than we think they do. Like, I feel Maya really knows on days when I'm struggling, and she will take it much steadier. And I think we don't give them enough credit for that, really.
Oh, that's amazing. And what about Stanley?
I don't think
Does he recognise when you-
Does he pick up when you're not feeling the energy?
I don't think he slows down when I slow down, but he naturally, he is, you know, he's getting older, so he needs a little bit less than he did before, but he's always up for going out. The first thing I hear in the morning is the like pitter patter of his claws on the hardwood floors, so I know he's ready to do something. So they do get you up and about, you know, before you've even thought about, oh, what am I doing today? You know, they need to go out, and he's always keen. As soon as he sees the harness, it's on. He's like ready to go. But I think yes, they need us to go out, but there's a different element. They're not judging you if you're going to run with their, you know, just your dog, perhaps, or maybe you have to slow down on a group run, and maybe you have to go at the back. The dog's not there going, excuse me, you're a bit rubbish today, are they? They're just glad to be out. So there is kind of a, you know, you've got your running partner with absolutely zero judgment, and I think they are company, like, in the house when maybe you are having not such a good time. Obviously, the times that Lou and I are chatting about now, when we're out on the run and we're having a great time, those are the absolute, you know, that's the peak, that's the top end of our, like, we're doing great and we're having a great time. But there are some times where my legs won't let me walk through my flap properly, or I'm very dizzy, and like my eyes are spinning. And I think when you do have to say to yourself, right, okay, fatigue management, we've got to do some, you know, balancing and some resting, and maybe saying no to social occasions, maybe turning down work that you wanted, or, you know, having to sacrifice elsewhere, and you're in your house feeling like everything is going on in the world without you, they're still there. And, you know, they're with you and cuddled up, still no judgment, you know, as long as they've got a couple of snacks and things like. So I think they don't only bring us, you know, motivation to get out and I think they really help with your mental health
Yeah.
in general, because living with such a unpredictable thing is quite hard on your mental health sometimes. And so actually the dogs are very good for helping with that.
That's a really good point. I was going to say that we talked about the physicality side, and sometimes when you struggle with MS and you can't run all, but I also think, if you're feeling in a low point, at a low point mentally, having the dog there, whether even if and to go out even for a run and get you out with everyone else, you can almost forget about all that for an hour or a couple of hours. And equally, like you said, if you're at home feeling a bit just out of the loop, you've got your dog with you. So they are incredible animals, and we have a lot to thank them for. And and Stanley, obviously, like you said, he's been in your life for 10 years and he's still going strong. He's still running.
Yeah.
So, and Maya, you and Louise, you've had with Maya, you've been running, have you, since she's been fully grown?
4 years I've been running
4
with
years.
her.
4
She
years.
was 3 when we started. We did a bit of agility and stuff before that, but then obviously got so absorbed into Canicross that everything else stopped. But I think like Kat said, I think they are just that constant, and I think me and Kat obviously both have that really close bond with our dogs, that those days when you feel like your body just is not very happy, obviously it in turn makes your mind not a very happy place, but I think they just being there, they just make everything feel so much better.
I mean, a Canicross is just such a great a bonding thing anyway. Just for anyone out with running with their dogs, it does increase the bond, but in your cases, it's the support all the way through. So Lou, what is there any iconic races that you've done or events that you've done that in your Canicross journey that you'd like to share with us that have been a great achievement?
Yeah, so I obviously started at 5K, I then did 10K, and then entered a half marathon, which in itself was like absolutely amazing, because I never thought I would ever be able to run a half marathon, let alone in a very, very hilly place that I did it. But then a few months later, I started training for an ultra marathon that I did in the Welsh Mountains in about 3 years ago now.
Wow, amazing.
So that was only really about 18 months after I'd actually started running, so it was quite quick, really. But that was just that I never thought I'd even manage the training, let alone actually turn up and do it on the day.
That's amazing.
It just felt absolutely amazing, and obviously it was hard, but it's something that if a few years previous to that, I would never believe that I could do such a thing.
Is that such a, as you said, from being diagnosed and someone saying, well, actually, in 3 years' time, you're going to run an ultra with your dog, you'll be going, that's not me.
Exactly. I literally would never have believed anybody that could have told me that. Absolutely never.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Kat, out of all your lots of running, is there one, apart from when Gail's made you?
No, I think that was my idea that time. I think that was not Gail's fault. A lot of them have been Gail's fault, though.
Yeah. Is there one that stands out though for you that you go back to in your mind when you're thinking about it all?
So many medals.
I mean, I know that run that Gail and I did, that was a real act of stubborn behavior, going and running 30 miles, after diagnosis. I actually was just really pleased recently to do a decent time on a 10K with Stan. So I had in my head that we were going to do 10Ks before he turned 10. And we did the Run Reigate 10K. And I sort of thought, he's going to be slowing down. No, as soon as they were announcing the start line, he was raring to go, and he just didn't let up for the entire 2 laps. And so we got a really decent time. So, but yeah.
Are you going to share that with us? What that is?
I think it was 56 minutes. Something
amazing.
like that.
Under the hour.
It might have been less. I do have his 10 medals hanging. But yeah, he's a spoiled dog. We made him 10 medals for his 10Ks.
Oh, so
Oh,
he
so yeah.
deserves it. And then in terms of the recovery process, when you do these runs, I mean, like Louise, an ultra probably take
Yeah.
weeks to get back. But with MS, does it hit you harder, the recovery?
So I think obviously the training beforehand is the same as with any normal person. I think
Yeah.
that is so important. But I think it does certainly hit you quite a lot harder.
Mm.
I found with the ultra actually that it kind of hit me and it was quite delayed. So I was fine for a couple of days and then all of a sudden it was literally like somebody had just hit me with a bus. It was bad. But I think you just need to give yourself time to
Yeah.
actually let your body sort itself out, because obviously not only is it trying to recover, it is in the background fighting against itself. So I think you kind of have to give it just that bit of extra time and care after things like that. So it
Yeah.
did take a while to recover from that, to be honest, but it was worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because that leads me into my next question about if somebody was listening to you guys talking about Canicross and having and living with MS, but they were interested in maybe giving it a go, what would you say to them? Because obviously there's an element of knowing your own body, but you've proven that it's a, you know, it can be done and you can achieve great things like ultras if you want to. So yeah, so what would you say to someone who's sort of thinking about getting into it, who's you know, maybe been recently diagnosed with MS? So Kat, what would your advice be?
I think it's hard initially to know where the line is and when you've overstepped it. And like Lou was just saying, I also am the same. But if I've done a lot, it will be 2 days after that I've done a lot that then suddenly my symptoms will start to flare. So it's not always immediate. Some things are immediate. When it's too hot, that's pretty immediate, like it's too hot and then we get like symptoms flaring. But in terms of like the running events and things like that, it won't be till a couple of days after that I then start to get symptoms or feel the effects of, you know, being busy or doing more than I usually would. So I would say it's so hard because you know, you want to keep going, but I have learned now to pace myself a bit better. So when you're feeling good, you're in danger of being like, oh, I feel great, and I will just keep piling on things that I want to do. I want to go out with my friends, and I want to run, and I want to do this, and you pile on. But what I've got better at doing is looking at a week, maybe looking at my diary and going, okay, this is a busy day. And after that, I need to not have anything for maybe the following 2 days. And it seems so dramatic when you are maybe planning with people and they think, well, why can't you just do X, Y, Z? But I think if you know you've got an event in, then look at your week and know when to plan in your rest times. And that is something I was terrible at in the beginning, but it does lead to your body just shouting at you to stop. And you will just fall asleep when you don't want to be falling asleep. So actually, if you plan in, okay, I need to rest, I might need to nap, I might just need that calmer day that day, it does help you enjoy the things that you want to do, so you've planned them in a little bit better. Yeah,
I think sometimes you will just hit that brick wall, and I think we're both guilty of doing that. Which is why I think it makes you learn that you have to take a break sometimes. Especially when symptoms and everything start flaring up, it's hard to actually listen to them. I think we get so good at just trying to ignore them and carry on running and just try and carry on as normal, but you have got to factor that in. Like Kat said, even if you look at the week ahead, you've got to plan things a bit more than anybody else would have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you both sound so you know, experienced and mature in your approach and attitude, and it's things that you've learned. So from that initial diagnosis, you know, as you said, Kat, you want to rush out and do all these things, and now you've got this approach where you're managing it but still enjoying all of those things. We're going to put some links in the notes below, but both of you are on socials, aren't you? So people can follow your journey. But is there somewhere they can go for support, or is it connecting with you guys on socials is the best sort of route?
I think for someone newly diagnosed, and Lou's worked with some different charities. There are several MS charities out there that are great. But when I was quite early on in diagnosis and things pop up that you don't really know where to turn, and you don't want to do that social media scroll and get into a really negative space. The charity that I went to the most was MS UK. They've got a great support team. There was several times when I wanted to know things, and you can ring their helpline. You speak to a small team of people, really, really great people on their help team. And if they don't know the answer immediately, they will go away, research, give you a call back, maybe send you an email. One time I had, a question, and I got a really, really thorough, detailed email back explaining, all of the research that they had just done and found out things. And, when you are exhausted or you're not feeling very well, to go and research and take on all this information can be very foggy. So actually to have someone that you can call and they can help you out. So the MS UK team were great for me.
Yeah. And Lou, who
think,
would you talk about?
The MS Society was quite helpful for me. I know it's a bit of a bigger charity, but particularly in the beginning, obviously it's all quite overwhelming when you get a diagnosis and then you get thrown a load of treatment options and your brain's just not really functioning very well either. So I found them really helpful, even if just for kind of their information on treatments and just trying to help make decisions. And they also have a helpline that I did speak to somebody on the phone right back at the beginning, just to try and break everything down a little bit, and they were actually really helpful. And I've done a skydive to raise money for them. I've done running challenges and stuff. So I've done quite a bit to try and raise money for MS Society as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Impressive. Wow. But we'll definitely tag them and
your Insta accounts
and
as
your
well.
Instagram, so
Yeah, of course.
you can get in touch. Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say now, because it's so overwhelming. I mean, you are both a massive inspiration, and I really hope if anyone's listening to us, whether you have MS or not, that just to be inspired to just get out and give Canicross a go, and whether you want to carry on and do an ultra or maybe do some skydiving, Louise is a big girl. But yeah, I honestly, a real inspiration. It's great to see you talk so positively about it, and hopefully it's going to help, give people a lot of reassurance that there is life after MS, and you can lead a very active, happy and healthy one as well. If you just get you just think about the balance, and you get plenty of advice and speak to other people, and the whole community aspect, especially with Canicross, is a real support in that journey as well. So, but yeah, thank you both so much for giving up your time, and obviously to the dogs as well, because they are amazing too. So we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talk Canicross. We really hope that you've enjoyed it. But don't forget to hit subscribe so we can keep you up to date and let you know when the next episode comes out. Happy canicrossing.